We have a very important update on a winter storm that is developing right now, as it's expected to bring a lot more snow and ice than initially forecasted. A fast-moving low-pressure system is rapidly intensifying in the Midwest, which has led to dozens of car accidents from ice accumulation in Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri today. But the real concern is what is coming next. This storm is strengthening faster than expected, and it's about to spread much heavier snow and more dangerous ice into a larger portion of the Ohio Valley and Northeast tonight and tomorrow. In fact, snow accumulation will likely be higher than initially forecasted. This is because we are anticipating a widespread swath of snow across the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and the Northeast tonight and into tomorrow, with a lot more moisture in place. Many areas are still on track for 3 to 7 inches of snow, but new data shows a much larger zone could now see 6 to 12 inches, including cities like Erie, Albany, Worcester, and Manchester. Another growing concern is freezing rain, which is spreading across a larger area than expected. Freezing rain will impact parts of Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and the Carolina foothills, where even a light glaze could create treacherous travel and scattered power outages. So in this forecast, we are going to break down exactly what you need to know about this upcoming winter storm and what major changes have happened over the last 24 hours. And guys, we have a lot of breaking news right now regarding this winter storm. Freezing rain has been falling across parts of Missouri, Kansas, and Arkansas over the last 6 to 12 hours. We've had a lot of accidents just within the last 12 hours, and on top of that, we even had buses that slid into a ditch in eastern Missouri due to this ice accumulation. So if you are in an area right now that is getting any sort of freezing drizzle or freezing rain, it's best to stay off the roadways. This is a very dangerous situation that is currently developing, and it is going to impact areas like Tennessee, Kentucky, southern Ohio, Indiana, and even parts of Illinois tonight, so definitely make sure that you're staying weather aware, and we're going to talk a lot more about it in just a moment. This accident was back over in Tulsa, Oklahoma earlier today, and again, this is just one of dozens of accidents that have been reported so far. And for this winter storm, we have a load of advisories and warnings anywhere from the Central Plains back into the Northeast. We have a massive swath of winter weather advisories all in the purple. That stretches from Maine all the way back through Kansas. One of the areas that we've seen a bunch of accidents in today is actually Kansas City, and that's mainly from snow. That's not even from ice accumulation. The majority of our ice so far has been across parts of the Ozarks and also into western Tennessee, where things are about to ramp up a lot more. And we also have winter storm warnings in effect now across parts of New York and also central New England, where there is now a potential for upwards of 6 to 14 inches of snow over the next 36 hours. Now let's talk more about this winter storm that is evolving in the United States, and we're going to begin with what is happening right now. We currently have a large swath of light to moderate snowfall stretching from Kansas City back into Chicago and Indianapolis. Heaviest snow is located right around and just to the north of St. Louis at this hour, and then back over in northern Arkansas and southern Missouri, so right in the Ozarks, we have light to moderate freezing rain that is currently falling, which is making roads very slick, and this is causing major travel impacts already right now, since there are so many roadways that are not treated with any sort of salt. So this is making big problems right now all across the Ozarks at this hour. As we get closer to 5 to 6 o'clock, that snow is going to grow in size. It'll be located anywhere from northern Ohio back into central Missouri. We will have freezing rain and sleet falling right over in the Mississippi River Valley by this point, especially north of Jonesboro, back over north of Memphis. That is where the threat of freezing rain is going to ramp up right around sunset. And then by around 8 to 9 o'clock, we're going to continue to see that snow stretch even further out. It's going to be from central Missouri all the way through western New York. Freezing rain and sleet will continue in western Kentucky and southern Illinois, so slick spots are likely tonight on the roadways, and up to 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation is a possibility. Once we go into the overnight hours, the snow is going to actually get a lot heavier across Kentucky, southern Ohio, and southern Indiana. Notice how dark blues are popping up on our future radar. Those are going to be corridors where heavy snowfall is likely, which means we'll likely see around 2 to 3 inches of snow falling at times per hour in central Kentucky and also southern Ohio. Freezing rain is going to continue, but it's going to be a very small, thin corridor from southern Ohio just east of Cincinnati back over towards Nashville. I wouldn't even rule out some slick spots over in Nashville overnight tonight as this rain falls. And then by early tomorrow morning, once the sun is rising, the snow is going to make its way mostly into the Appalachian Mountains and also the Northeast. Heavy snowfall is going to be located in central and southern Pennsylvania, moderate snowfall blanketing New York, and then light snowfall arriving into southern and central New England on Tuesday morning. We'll have lots of rain stretching from the Gulf Coast all the way back into New Jersey and Maryland. Some localized flooding is on the table as well. But since this nor'easter is going to be so fast moving, it is going to limit how much snow and rain accumulates here across the entire eastern seaboard. But even then, we have heavy heavy snow that's going to be falling for multiple hours in parts of New England and also the Northeast, which means that this will at least stack up to some extent. Some of the new data is indicating that we'll likely have a 6 to 8 hour window where heavy snow is falling across central New England back into Pennsylvania and New York, and that is going to be a very thin corridor, and where this lines up is where we're going to be talking about the potential for 6 to 12 inches of snowfall, with some localized areas closer to 14 or even 15 inches of snowfall being on the table. And then during the afternoon on Tuesday, moderate to heavy snow will continue across central New England. Most of the snow is going to wind down across Pennsylvania by 2 to 3 o'clock tomorrow. There will still be some very light lake effect snow coming off of Erie and as well as Lake Ontario, so just keep that in mind. But outside of that, most of the snow is going to be coming from this low pressure system during the afternoon and evening on Tuesday. The heaviest of the snow is going to wind down just after sunset across New England. By 10 to 11 o'clock, we'll still be watching for some light snowfall, and then moderate snow will try to continue right along the main coastline. But overall, a lot of the snow is going to be moving out overnight, and then by Wednesday morning, we are basically done with snowfall all across the Northeast. And then Wednesday afternoon and evening, I would not rule out a little bit more snowfall, but that'll be primarily across Michigan. We might see that leak into upstate New York and perhaps northern New England as we go into late Wednesday and early Thursday, but that will not really add to much more accumulation. Maybe a coating to an inch or two are going to be possible. And as we've talked about throughout the forecast, snow and ice accumulation are forecasted to be more significant than what we thought yesterday and even this morning. This is the latest from the HRRR on how much snowfall we could see. And for most of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, we are going to be talking about a widespread 3 to 6 inches of snow. There will likely be some localized areas, perhaps even over near St. Louis or even back over in central Indiana or Ohio, that could pick up around 6 to 8 inches of snowfall when this is all said and done. So definitely a lot more snow than we were initially thinking. And if any area were to see 8 inches of snow, that's going on top of what we just saw a couple of days ago with some of the record-breaking snow we saw for the month of November in areas like St. Louis, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and a few other areas. So definitely quite a bit of snow is coming from this, even though it's a very fast-moving system. And another thing I want to point out too, all across western Michigan, we got really intense lake effect snow bands lining up right now. There's a possibility of 1 to 1.5 feet of snow just today into early tomorrow across very far western Michigan. So heads up, if you were living in any of those areas, there are winter storm warnings in effect for parts of western Michigan right now. And then back over in the Ohio Valley and the Northeast, this is an area that has uptrended a lot over the last 24 hours. In fact, the National Weather Service is now forecasting a widespread 6 to 12 inches of snow from central and eastern New York and even northeast Pennsylvania through central New England, including areas like Concord and Manchester, New Hampshire, also southern Vermont, western parts of Massachusetts, around and just north of Worcester, and through southern Maine. There will likely be a few areas as well that get closer to 12 to 15 inches of snow. Highest totals will likely be back over near Keene, New Hampshire, just outside of where Nashua is. I also think Nashua could easily see 10 to 12 inches of snow when this is all said and done. Albany, New York, I'm expecting about 8 inches of snow from this event. Portland, Maine, I would say around 8 to 9 is pretty realistic. If you're in Boston, we might not really have anything in terms of snow. It'll probably be mostly rain. There could be a brief transition into snow as we go into very late Tuesday night, but don't get your hopes up on that. And then most of southern New England, we are going to be basically dry when it comes to snowfall, but it will be raining all afternoon and evening tomorrow. And then back over in Ohio and Kentucky, there will likely at least be a couple of inches of snowfall. Northern Ohio, better chance of 4 to 5 inches with lake effect snow bands being on the table. Might see some flurries tonight into tomorrow morning back over in northern Tennessee, back over near Clarksville. Wouldn't rule out a couple flurries in Nashville, but I think freezing rain is going to be a bigger concern. And unfortunately, ice accumulation is becoming a much bigger concern across the Ozarks and the Ohio Valley. This has already been a big problem today across southern Missouri and Arkansas. We've already had buses that have slid off roads. We've had dozens of accidents, and we are expecting a widespread glazing to up to 1/10 of an inch of ice over the next several hours from areas like Little Rock, Arkansas, back into western Kentucky near Mayfield, and also into southern Illinois and southern Indiana. However, if you're not in the pink, do not rule out the possibility of a glazing of ice tonight, especially since temperatures will be rapidly dropping behind this low pressure system, which means areas like western Tennessee or even very far southern Kentucky, perhaps even near Clarksville, Tennessee, do have the potential of seeing a glazing of ice or at least some black ice on the roadways. It might not be everywhere, but that is definitely a possibility since any sort of precipitation that does end up melting could refreeze as temperatures drop. Back over in the Appalachian Mountains in eastern Kentucky, this is an area that we expect more significant ice accumulation. This is not going to be anything major like an ice storm, but it's enough ice to accumulate here that we could actually see some isolated power outages. A widespread 1/100th to 1/10 of an inch of ice is possible in northeastern Arkansas, all across the Appalachian Mountains, and we may even have some freezing rain or drizzle back over near Washington, D.C. see in southeastern Pennsylvania tomorrow. That also means there could be some slick spots on the roadways if they are not treated. So stay safe out there. Tree limbs could also see some ice accumulation, so don't be surprised if a few of those fall down tomorrow. And then after this winter storm is all said and done, we are going to continue to have a somewhat active weather pattern throughout the middle and end of the week, with snow chances continuing to exist in the Ohio Valley and the Northeast. By Friday and Saturday, a more significant storm system may develop across the Gulf Coast, spreading heavy rainfall and some severe weather to the southeast on Friday and Saturday. Sunday and Monday of next week gets a little bit more interesting. High pressure will start to build, which will likely blockade a lot of any sort of big winter storms from forming. But this is really what the interesting thing is. Back over in the Pacific Northwest, an atmospheric river event appears likely, and assuming this goes to plan, there is going to be an elevated chance of at least seeing some of that energy move over the Rockies, which means winter storm chances will increase again during the middle of December. So things are definitely not done yet. We might have a white Christmas for some of you. We're going to have a more detailed video once I'm back from my vacation, talking more about where we could see a white Christmas this winter, and also what winter storms are ahead after the 10th of this month. So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. A lot of interesting weather is ahead. And as a reminder, today is the last day for our Black Friday sale at shopmaxvelocity.net. You can get $5 off on $50 or more with code Black Friday. It's also the top link in the description below. We have our cheese curd collection out, which is my cat. We also have our Happy Holidays merch and our Supercell collection and a lot more. These make for great stocking stuffers. Make sure to check it out again at shopmaxvelocity.net. And as a reminder, I am on vacation, but we will have video updates as long as dangerous weather is occurring. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and we'll see you all again in the next video.